Happy Friday. Happy Friday. You are listening to the She Heals Radio Show on Awesome God Radio. I am your host, Whitney J. It is Friday, March 19th, 2021. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are tuning in on the Awesome God Radio app, thank you so much. If you have not downloaded the Awesome God Radio app, again, amazing shows, amazing music, amazing sermons, so much more to come. Please follow Awesome God Radio on all social media platforms. I'm telling you, you want to be tapped in. If you were tuning in on Twitter or Periscope, thank you so much. Or my YouTube channel, thank you so much. Hit the like button, leave a comment, share it with your friends and family. If you have not subscribed to me, Whitney, those things, please do so immediately. And last but never least, if you are tuning in on Facebook Live, thank you so much. Hit the like button, leave a comment, and share it to your page. Hey, Nelson, love you. Listen, y'all, I'm pumped today. I am pumped. We have an amazing woman of God that is joining us in the second half of the show. She is a singer. She is a songwriter. She is anointed. She is beautiful. She is my best friend, Octavia Miller. She has an amazing, incredible single called Suddenly that just came out today. Download it. Of course, we're going to get into all of that in the second half of the show. But listen, you got to get this single. It is straight fire, I'm telling you, and it will bless you. It will encourage you. It's just something special about it, but we will talk about that soon. In the She Heals Inspiration segment, listen, y'all, we're going to talk about seasons and shifting and preparation. So listen, we know this weekend is the first day of spring. I can't remember if it's the 20th or the 21st, but it's one of those days, right? And so this weekend we will be entering into the new season, right? So many of us, if you're not a winter person, you are super excited about spring coming, right? You know, really excited, like, I just want it to be warm. And, you know, it's so funny because we typically think that the seasons shift drastically, but they actually shift gradually. And so many times, I know for me, you know, my favorite season is the fall. And so I feel like the moment fall ends and then, you know, winter starts, I feel like it's immediate, right? Like, oh my gosh, it's the first day of winter. That means, you know what? It's snowing already. But that's not the case, right? Just because we enter in one season, there's still kind of some remnants of the previous season there. It's a gradual transition, not a drastic one. And a lot of us are believing God for new seasons in our lives, right? And so we are like, I want a new season, Lord. I want the brand new. And, you know, that's wonderful. That's great. But some of us, I know I'm in this number. I want everything to change. Like when I say I want a new season, I want everything to change. But I'm learning to understand that change is gradual. It's not always drastic. And even the things that appear drastic, sometimes in the natural realm, they were gradual in the spiritual realm. And so, you know, it's a gradual change. And so you have to understand that even though a new season is upon us, that doesn't mean everything from the old season goes away. And it doesn't mean that everything that was in the previous season is bad, right? So the previous season can prepare us for the new season, and it's a gradual transition between the two. And so as we are going into spring, I know we want to wake up on the 21st is the first day of spring. Thank you. I know we want to wake up on Sunday and it be spring. We want to see flowers everywhere. We want it to be a nice, you know, breeze outside. You know, you don't have to wear no coat yet, like 70 degrees. We want to see the exact transition to spring, right? And we might see a little bit of that. And there may be some cold days, right? And there may be a mixture. But I need you to be encouraged to understand that even though there may still be some remnants of the previous season, you are still in the midst of a new season. And you got to embrace the whole thing. You have to embrace the gradual, right? And so, you know, as we're embarking on this new season, I know for me, one of the biggest things is I'm realizing is that I always want the new season. Everybody loves something new, right? We do. We do. It's a new week. It's a new month. It's a new year. It's a new season. We love new. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I realize as much as I want that new thing and I want that new season, have I always taken time to adequately prepare for it? You can't start preparing for the summer body in the summer. right? You've got to use the other seasons, right? The winter and the fall and the spring. That prepares you for that summer body, right? You can't start preparing in the summer for a summer body, right? So have I adequately prepared for the season, the new season that I want? So maybe it's that I want a new career or a new job or a promotion at my job. That's wonderful, right? And it might be my season for that. But did I do everything that I needed to do to prepare for that season, right? Did I prepare for that promotion? Did I prepare for that change or that shift? Or am I just believing God is going to drop something out of the sky and it's just going to be new and it's just going to work out? That line of thinking needs some growth, right? Because just as the new seasons come, right, there are things that come with the new season. And so if you didn't adequately prepare for in the previous season, now you're trying to prepare and experience and then be prepared for the next season all at the same time, and it's overwhelming, right? And so we have to realize sometimes we glorify the new. We romanticize the new, that, oh, as soon as I get to this new season, everything's going to be perfect, right? As soon as I get that job, as soon as I get that house, as soon as I get, that certain amount of money or whatever, we're always preparing for the new, but we haven't adequately prepared in the previous season. So then the new comes and we're not ready for it, or we're not willing to do what is necessary for that new thing to happen. So at my house, there is this, well, they cut it down. My homeowner association cut it down. There is this beautiful bush that is right by my front door. And in the spring and summertime, it blooms the most. I don't know all the names of different flowers, but they are the most beautiful flowers. It's this pink color. They are beautiful, right? I love them. And so in the winter, of course, they wilter away and they end up cutting the thing down. And so when I was coming home today, I looked out and I said, oh, I wonder when that bush is going to start developing those flowers, because I love looking at them. They're so, so pretty. Well, in order for me to get those flowers, right, I've got to plant something, right? The bush has to be planted, right? So there's some work that's involved. Then on top of that, there has to be rain that comes, right? Because what's planted doesn't grow unless there is some rain on it. So the rain has to be able to come. So I can't complain when those rainy spring days come, because that's what's going to make my flowers come, right? Between what I've planted, what is the rain, and then guess what? The last part is I have to wait. I got to let the process do what it does, right? And so I can't want the flowers and that new season of flowers if I'm not willing to prepare. If I never planted anything, how can I expect to yield something in a new season? So my question for you is, I know you're believing God for that new season and that new thing, but what have you planted? Because you can't have a harvest if nothing was planted. And then if you planted it, have you been willing to endure the rain? Because the rain has to come. It is a necessity. You can't get the harvest without the rain. So are you willing to go through the complete process? And I know, like I said, for me, a lot of times I just want stuff to work out. Sometimes I feel like I'm tired and Lord, I've been through so much and can't you just work this out? But I'm learning that in that season, when I'm processing things, in that season, when I'm developing things, I'm planting things. In that season, when I'm watering those things, I'm nurturing those things, I'm being patient and trusting the process, even though it may not look like or feel like things are happening. On the surface level, I might not be able to see the flower blooming, but on the underneath that level, right, there's things that are taking place. And then suddenly, that's the word for tonight, suddenly, those flowers bloom. The flowers bloom suddenly. The manifestation of that happens suddenly, but there is so much groundwork that takes place before. So I need you to understand that just because you might be in a season where it seems like nothing's happening, if you have planted something, if you have developed it and nurtured it, if you are believing God and trusting God and you are trusting the process, you have to understand that even though you can't see it yet, it will come at its appointed time. And sooner than you think, guess what? It's going to pop. It's going to bloom. But you got to do the work. You got to do the work. I don't know why we think that there is no work involved in this relationship with God and with the assignment of God. We've got to do the work. We cannot get results if we do not do the work. And so, you have to know what season you're in. So right now, is this my season to plant? Has God given me something new? And I'm planting that. Maybe I'm taking the first step. Maybe I am learning. I'm becoming educated in that area. Whatever your first step is, right? Then okay, or am I in the developing and the nurturing stage? Maybe God has already spoken to me and given me the vision. Maybe now I'm developing the work. Maybe this is the time that I'm learning and I'm getting coaching and training. I'm honing that gift, that talent, that skill, that business, that ministry, that whatever, that nonprofit. Maybe this is the time that I'm developing. So you can't see it yet. You can't see it yet, but there's some seeds that have been planted, right? And so now we're in that season of we are developing and we're growing, right? And that season is typically quiet, right? Do you ever sit and do you ever go to like a garden and say, flowers are coming, flowers are coming, I'm dropping my new flowers? No, right? You just wait and they bloom when they bloom. There's no announcement. That's a word for somebody. If you're in that season where God has given you a vision, you have planted that thing, right? And you are now in that season of nurturing it and developing it. It's a quiet season. You don't got to tell nobody what you're doing. It's not their business. God will show you who the people are that are going to help you water this thing, right? God will show you, okay, this is the person that has the good soil, and this is the person that has the good water, and this is the person that has the good gardening supplies or tools or whatever. Listen, I don't know nothing about gardening, clearly. But he will show you who the people are that will be with you during that season, right? To help nurture and develop that thing that God has planted in you. So God will show you, but you don't have to announce it to everybody. Because if you announce it to everybody and you get too many ears involved and too many opinions and things, you could ruin what happens, right? You could ruin the thing that God gave you. And if you don't trust the process and you try to, shortchange it and try to get it to the flowers to bloom before they're ready, they're not going to last. So you've got to know where you are in that season. Or maybe this is the time where, guess what? God's implanted the vision. You have developed it. You have trusted God. You have trusted the process. And now it's the bloom, right? Now we can see on the outside what's been taking place behind the scenes, right? Now we have a better understanding of what's going on. And now we see that flower that bloomed, right? It may seem like it bloomed out of nowhere, but we know that a whole process took place. Well, even in that season, right, you still have to be careful because blooming it is not enough. Once you bloom it, now you've got to make sure that you maintain it, right? You still have got to, water it. You've still got to make sure it's on good soil. You still have to make sure that you're taking good care of it, right? So it's not enough to just birth something. Listen, the birthing of something is the end of one season and the beginning of another. When you give birth to a child, it is the end of the season of pregnancy. It's the beginning of the season of parenting. Right? So you got to understand that it's not enough to just birth it. Some of us, we just want to birth things. I just want this. But then what? Did you prepare for after the flower blooms? Did you prepare for after you birth the thing that God has given you? Have you sought God out and said, okay, God, I'm so focused on birthing to say I did it. Did I have an adequate plan for after the birth? After the bloom? I think about when I published my book and I was so excited. And all I wanted to do was write and publish a book. That was a dream from the second grade. And so when my book came out, I was so excited. I quickly learned, though, that as I birthed that book, it was also the beginning of a new process. And I had to learn in the moment of now there's book promotions. And did you know about different venues and all of these different things? And I was like, oh my goodness, I was so overwhelmed. And it's because I focused all of my energy on birthing it. To say, oh, I wrote a book, I did it. I didn't focus on the now what? How do I maintain that? How do I maintain that flower? Yeah, the flower is pretty. But how awful is it if you do all the work to get the seed and you do all the work to plant it and to nurture it and to develop it and you wait and you do all of that and finally you bloom this flower and then it only lives for 2 days because there was no preparation for what to do after it bloomed. How awful would that be? So you got to see the whole picture. So before we can get super excited about the next season, we got to check in with the season we're in right now. We got to know where we are right now. And God, what are you saying right now? And it's okay if I'm in a season of development and maybe my neighbor is blooming. That's okay. Because we don't know how long it took them to go through the process. They could have been blooming now, but they could have been in process for 5 years. I could be just now developing and nurturing, and God could bloom this thing in 6 months. So you have to understand that your process is not anybody else's. So you don't need to be worried about what they're doing. You need to be clear on what God is saying for you right now. So before we can embrace the spring that's coming on Sunday, we've got to close out the winter over these next couple of days. We've got to check in and make sure that we've done the things that we're supposed to do this winter. We've got to check in and make sure that we've tidied up the loose ends. And God, am I in your will? Am I doing what you said? Because right now it looks a little slow. Have you ever been in that season where you're like, God, you told me this, and I'll use myself when I was when God gave me the vision for a book. He gave me the title for a book in 2013. I didn't even start writing the book until the end of 2016. So you're talking 3 years, over 3 years, right? Of just, God, you gave me this vision. You gave me this title for this book. You planted that in me, right? The seed was planted, right? And then there was 3 years of quiet. And I'm like, God, you gave me this book. How come the words aren't coming? How come I can't write it right now? You gave it to me. I want it right now. I want to do it right now. And he's like, but I'm working beneath the surface. See, I had to understand that I had to live the message of my book. That's what those 3 years in between when he planted the seed to when he started to nurture it and he allowed it to bloom. I had to live through some things during that time. I had to endure some things that were things that I needed to share in the book. I had to live it before I could write it. And so even though I felt like it's quiet, God, I said yes to the assignment, God, but it's quiet and I don't know what to do. He was working all along. And at the right time, it clicked. At the right time, I heard God. God said, it's time to write. And when I tell you, I wrote that book in 4 months because it was the right timing, because I had done the work. I had trusted God. I had yielded to his will, his way, his plans. And I endured that quiet time when it felt like it wasn't going to happen. And I couldn't see how, you're showing me this book, but I couldn't see how I was going to get from where I was then to where, the book was coming out. But I trusted God and I trusted the process and I did my part. Do your part. Full transparency, I'm in a new season right now. About 4 or 5 months ago, God kind of dropped something that I just did not expect. And the hardest part of this assignment is that I'm so uncomfortable with it. It requires me to really learn. I'm talking go back to, the basics of this. And, it's easy to also kind of stay with what you know. And I'm like, oh, I know how to do this. I'm going to stay in this area when God tells you to come and do something different. And so I've been in this process and I've been working. And, I felt like, God, I don't see how what you told me is going to, where I am today is going to line up and somehow change to what you said was going to happen. And so I'm in this process and I'm just following along. And recently I felt God saying, okay, we got to turn up a notch. We got to apply a little more pressure. We need to, increase. I need you to show me that you really believe that I'm going to do this. I need you to invest in yourself. And so, this week I invested in myself. I purchased some things that I needed to fulfill this particular assignment, this particular, I don't even know what to call it. I'm not going to call it nothing because it just is what it is at this point. But, I purchased some things. And so part of me is like, why am I purchasing? Like, I don't even know if this is going to happen. That was really where I was earlier this week. Like, God, you're telling me to do this and do that. And like, this stuff costs money. This is time, it takes time to learn this new skill and to do these things. Like, this is not stuff that's cheap. And I don't have a whole lot of time as it is, right? I'm a single parent. I got this, that, and, all these other things going on. But God said, if you believe me, show me. You got to put a little weight on it. So many of us want the glory of what God gives us, but we don't want to invest anything. We don't want to do anything. We just want God to drop it down. And God was like, okay, so you're saying you believe me. I need you to show me that you believe me. I need you to invest. I need you to get this thing. I need you to start making moves like you already have obtained the thing that I told you was yours, because you have. You just can't see it yet because you're still in that season where the flower hasn't bloomed yet. But I need you to start acting like a flower is already going to be there. I need you to start making some plans like the flower is already there. So I need you to actually like put a little weight on it. Put a little weight on your faith. So yes, I'm telling you, God, I'm believing you. But now I'm going to put a little weight because I'm going to invest in the things that you told me to birth this vision. I'm going to really, get a coach or whatever it is that I need to bring this vision to life. And guess what? Even though I may not be able to see it yet, I'm going to show up every day and I'm going to work hard and I'm going to try my best, because I know if I believe you and I do what you say, you will anoint the very assignment. So I may not see it yet, but again, I told you the word for tonight is suddenly. That if I just keep on doing what I'm supposed to be doing, if I keep moving and putting some weight to my faith, then guess what? Suddenly it's going to click. Suddenly the door will open. Suddenly the anointing will take place. Suddenly whatever it is that you told me is mine to have will happen if I'm in position. You cannot have a suddenly if you are not in position. Many of us want God to just do stuff and we aren't even where he is. How he gonna bless you and you in the wrong place? Huh? Come on, we gotta step it up a little bit. So many of us have been in the same season, same cycle all the time. And you're like, God, every year it's the same thing. God, every month it's the same thing. I'm believing you, and then this happens, and then that. Okay, well, guess what? If the same things are happening, we've got to make a change. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So guess what? If every time I plant my seed in this type of soil, it doesn't manifest to anything, then I need to change the soil. Come on. That's it. That's it, right? So we got to put some weight on it. Or we just put the seed in the ground. We don't water it. We don't, make sure, pat it down and make sure it's nicely planted. We just think that God is just going to do it. Some of us are expecting things for God. We ain't do nothing. We didn't even go to the store and buy no seeds. We just are expecting God to just, like a genie, drop it out the sky. And that's why you've been in the same cycle year after year. You waiting on God, and God is like, what you doing? I'm waiting on you. You got to put a little weight on it. If you truly believe God, you got to put a little weight on it. So for me, when God said to me, there's a book in you, when he told me it was time to write, I didn't really see, I don't even know how to set up a book. I don't even know how to do this. But okay, God, well, you know what? I never forget my cousin Justine said, Whitney, just start writing 10 minutes a day. Best advice I ever could have received. Just do it. Just get started. And so I started writing 10 minutes a day. And wouldn't you know that as I started to write, God started to shape the book. As I was working, God started developing the thing that he gave me. And it did not happen while I was sitting doing nothing. It's when I started writing, when I started putting some weight on it. Okay, God, you said that I'm an author. Well, I'm going to put some weight on that. I'm going to actually start writing. Right. And so when I started writing, God started developing it. And all of a sudden, my writing structure started to look better than it did. And all of a sudden I got the idea of, oh, this is how the book should be structured. And here's the sections and here's this. And it was as I was working, because I put that weight on it. So right now I'm in this new season. It's very uncomfortable. It was very unexpected. I'm excited, but I'm very nervous. But this week I had to put some weight on it. Okay, God. Yeah, I've been following you. I've been, doing the things you said. I have a coach in that area, and I've been really working hard over the last couple of months. But okay, God, you need me to turn that up a little bit. You need me to put a little weight on it, because there is secretly that part of me that still kind of doubts that you're actually going to do this thing through me. So you know what, God, I'm going to show you. I'm going to put some weight on it. I'm going to take it up a notch. I'm gonna really move forward. And yes, it's hard. And yes, it's humbling because, I'm learning something new. And yes, God, I don't see how you're gonna take me from where I am now to where, you said that I'm gonna be, but I'm gonna put some weight on it because I don't have to see the flower being developed beneath the soil to know that it's working, because that is the definition of faith. So God, even though I can't see it, I'm going to move forward anyway. And guess what? I'm going to believe. I'm going to do my part, not his part. I'm going to do my part. I'm going to believe that even though I don't see a flower there yet, I'm going to believe that there is a flower that's already there and that it's developing. And at the right time, it will bloom. And it's okay if it blooms this year. It's okay if it blooms in 2 years. I don't need to put a timeline on it, because many of us put timelines on God's assignment. We're telling God when we want to do something. I do this all the time. This is me. Forgive me, Father. Okay, Lord, well, I want to do this year. And he's like, but did I say that? So I'm learning, God, you know what? Lord, not my will, but thy will be done. So God, okay, I'm just going to keep watering and nurturing the seeds that you've planted. They will bloom when you say they're ready. And here I might think that there's this one little flower and it can be 20 flowers. I can't even imagine the beauty of the flowers that right now, he is developing, because I'm so focused on the amount of rain that is falling. That is a word for somebody. You don't even realize the beauty of what is getting ready to come because you're focused on the rain that is here today. But the rain will stop. And I'm telling you, you need that heavy rain, and heavy rain produces beautiful flowers. Thank you, God. If you are feeling discouraged, like, oh my gosh, it seems like it's rain all over the place. My God, it seems like I just can't catch a break. It is so much happening. It is so overwhelming. I'm so tired. I don't even see that there's any worth in me. I don't see that there's any purpose in me. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't see that you find anything that's in me that's worth of any value. Let me explain to you that the harder the rain, it with good soil produces beautiful flowers. So please understand, the season will change. God does not plant things that he does not intend to birth in the world. He does not plant things and allow rain if there is not a harvest that is going to come. So you have to understand that even though it may be, and you might be in that season where it is raining and you are tired and you're frustrated and you don't see how God is going to shift from where you are right now to where he said you're going to be. I get it. I get it. You may not see the preacher in you. You may not see the singer in you. You may not see the author in you. You may not see the husband in you. You may not see the wife in you. You may not see the parent in you. You may not see the educator in you. You may not see it. And you're looking right now and you're saying, I don't see how I'm going to get from where I am today to that place. But please understand, if you lay good soil and you nurture it and develop it, if you ride through the storms and you believe God, please understand, at the right time, his anointed time, his appointed time, that suddenly will happen and it will bloom. It will bloom. If you don't get nothing else from this segment, just know that it will bloom. It will happen if you've laid the groundwork, if you've believed God, if you have done your part. Just ride it out. It's okay. God may have told you that you're supposed to have a doctorate degree and you're in your bachelor's program right now and you're struggling. I understand. But listen, if he said that you are a doctor, then it is so. And so hang in there. Hang in there. Maybe he said you're an athlete and you're doing practice and you're not doing that good, or you don't see how you're going to become this athlete that he said you are from where you are right now. Just keep practicing. Just hang in there. Keep believing. Trust the process. Trust the creator of the process, and understand that at the right time, it will bloom. That suddenly is for you. That suddenly move of God is for you. But you gotta hang in there. You gotta hang in there. You gotta be ready. You gotta do your part. That's it. Be gentle with yourself. Just do your part. It will happen in his anointed time. Trust him and trust the process. That was the She Heals Inspiration segment. I pray that you were blessed. Listen, y'all, I'm like super pressed right now. I don't know. Do we even say pressed anymore? I'm so out of date. I'm so out of touch. But I'm going to say it. I'm pressed. Let me just say this. God has never ceased to amaze me with the incredible people he has allowed to be a part of my life. I am always honored when he sends amazing people. And this woman of God is one of those. She is so much more than my best friend. She is one of those people, when I first met her like 12 or 13 years ago, it's just a warmth about her. And then I got to know her. She is funny. We just have a good time together, but she is anointed. And let me just say this, when we talk about a word for suddenly, she has worked so hard for the things that God is doing right now in her life. And I am super excited for her to join us tonight. I am super excited for what God is doing in and through her. And listen, this is a name that you don't know it now. You better know it, because it's about to blow up, y'all. I'm telling you here right now. I want to introduce to the She Heals Radio Show my friend, my sister, singer, songwriter, Octavia Stewart Miller. Hey, Octavia.
Hello.
You're so pretty. And here I am, a mess, but I am so excited with you. I'm so excited that you are here. Thank you so much for taking time to be on the show tonight. How are you?
I'm good, boo. I'm excited. I've been doing a robot dance all day.
I can't sing. I can't. I can't. So listen, I'm excited, Octavia. For those that Octavia has been a guest on the show before, but for those that don't know you, quickly introduce yourself and just share a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So I am Octavia Stewart Miller. I am a singer, songwriter, worship leader, mother, wife, sister, friend, upcoming author, and just released my new single Sunday today. So now artist.
Yes. So before we hop into that, I have to say this one thing. So Octavia and I met way years back. We worked together at this place. I can't remember the name of it. That's sad. But anyway, we worked together, and I just wanted to give a special shout out to Chris. Chris was someone that worked with us. Chris Wilson, we love you. He's in the comments. Yes, we love you so much. We miss you. And God has an amazing plan for your life, Chris, as well. So I just wanted to say that real quick. But Octavia, let's hop into this thing.
Absolutely. Yes. I touch and agree with you on that.
Yes. Octavia, suddenly, let's talk about it. What made you, what was the inspiration behind writing the song and developing the song? Let's talk about it.
So I wrote the song, I want to say last April, and in the middle of the pandemic, right?
Yes.
But I was, I went on someone's IG live, Pastor Kim. I think her name on IG is Real Talk Kim.
Yes.
And I literally logged into the IG as she was closing out. And as she was closing out, she said, God's going to do it suddenly. And she said, remember Amos 9. And that's all I remember from that IG. And then she closed it. And as she was ending the the Instagram live, I heard God say, it's going to happen suddenly. And then he gave me the lead guitar to it. And I just kept singing it. And then I recorded it. And I sent it to my husband, and he said, we got to record this, babe. So he was like, you got to put some more, let's put the verses to it, because all God gave me was the hook at the time. So he said, let's put some verses to it. So I sat down with God, and I just allowed God to pour into me. And God told me that this is a song of prophecy. It's not just another song to be sang. It's not just another lyric to be written, but it's a prophecy. And so that's been my prayer over the last year since I wrote the song. Literally every day, that's been my prayer, that whenever someone hears the song, that it would register in their spirit that whatever they've been praying for, it's now going to come to pass. Come to pass. That's what prophecy is. It's confirmation, right? So I've been praying that again, that people would just really receive what the song says. And then I'm just like amped up right now because I've been reading Amos 9 from the NLT version. But I just want to, so right before I got on here, God told me to go to the Message version. And this thing tore me up. So I just want to read it real quick. So it's Amos 9:13 through 15. It says, yes, indeed, it won't be long now, God's decree. Things are going to happen so fast, your head will swim. One thing fast on the heels after another. after the other. You won't be able to keep up. Everything will happen at once, one blessing after the next. And everywhere you look, blessings, blessings like wine pouring off the mountains and hills. I'll make everything right again for my people. That thing
Woo!
messed me
Okay.
up. Okay.
Wow. Thank you, God.
Suddenly.
Thank you. That's it. That's it. Listen,
Yeah.
that was a word. Thank you. I needed that word. Thank you. One of the things that when we talk about worship and gospel music, we know that it's the purpose of it is to encourage, right? But like you said, I purposely waited to listen to the song today. I wanted to listen to it on the day it came out, and this morning I put it on, and it definitely was a prophet. It was like God was sitting in the room with me, like, boo, let me tell you. Let me tell you what's
Hmm.
getting ready to happen. So many of us, we as believers, we may have read the word and we may understand what a suddenly move of God is. But what does that mean to you? Like for someone that may not have heard that terminology or may not have experienced it yet, what does that mean to you?
So for me, it really means being in a position to receive, right? We can
Mhm.
ask God to do a million and one things, but if we're not in a position to receive it, we're really not prepared for it.
That's
So,
right.
one of the things that I've been thinking about is 3 weeks ago, we talk about this all the time, like eating healthy, trying to maintain a good weight. But 3 weeks ago, I made a decision that I'm going to change the way that I eat. I can't
Hmm.
keep saying I want to lose weight and I want to, be healthy if I don't take the initiative first, right? So I
Right.
started 3 weeks ago. I stepped on the scale this morning and I lost 10 pounds. I said, thank you, Jesus. I'm great. Wear a crop top everywhere, right? So,
Crop tops.
uh,
We
crop top season.
it's crop top
But you have
season.
to do, you have to, yes, yes, you have to do your part though. And then know that, you are going to have some things that you go through. There are going to be some things that you have to endure because it's a part of the process. You talked about that. There's going to be some sacrifices that you have to make. But as long as you are aligning with God's will, you're aligning with His way, you're being obedient because we know
That's right.
obedience is better than sacrifice. If you're being obedient, those sudden blessings are going to come. The
They are.
miracle you've been praying on, the financial breakthrough you've been praying on, it's going to come. It's just like, and I was saying this to my mom earlier. We were having a really good conversation earlier, and I said, we can pray for things, but what are we doing in preparation for it?
What we
So if
doing?
I'm living in a small home or I'm living in an apartment and I'm saying, God, I want to buy a house, but I'm spending every day on food, I'm spending every day on shoes, help me, Jesus. I'm
Okay, so
spending every
you're
day on clothes and things that I don't need. How am I preparing myself financially?
that's right. That's right. I see you, Tay. Okay. You're right.
Listen,
Listen, I was like, okay, this hurts a little bit, but okay, yes, I know I need to get it together.
listen. Look, God's getting me together. When He gave that to me, I said, all right, Jesus, okay, I got
Right.
it.
What are you doing to prepare? The suddenly
Yes.
is when God has released what is already there, but it is our job to be developing it. And so I just know as your, a friend of yours that you have worked really, really hard. And this is not, sometimes people think, whenever someone births something, whether it's a book or a song or whatever they're doing, they think like, oh, that just happened. But it's not that simple. It's not that simple. It's
Yeah.
a process.
Yeah.
And so talk a little bit about just the process of developing suddenly, because I think so many of us, where we get discouraged is we get excited about the assignment and the vision that God has given us. But then once we start going through the process and we realize it's not as glamorous as we might have made it to be, we get, discouraged. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my pastor, um, he told a story in one of his sermons, this was years ago, and he talked about how he was on his way to preach somewhere, and they had arrived in the city, but the plane couldn't land. And so they were in what was called a holding pattern. So the plane literally just had to spin until the weather was good enough for them to land. So I think about that even in, the song Suddenly. We're in a holding pattern. until we are established and prepared in the place that God has for us. So even in writing the song, so yeah, God gave me the hook first. It's going to happen suddenly. He gave me the lead guitar to it. But then once I sat down with him, and that's another thing. If you're not sitting with God, how can you hear from him? If you have
Mm,
so much noise around you, you got so many people in your ears, you're not feeding your spirit with good things. You're feeding your spirit with watching a whole bunch of reality TV. Help me, Jesus. You're feeding your spirit with listening to music that is not beneficial to your gift and your anointing.
yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't work. So you have to have time to spend time with God. So when I took the time to actually spend time with God, He gave me the lyrics to the song. So He gave me the verse. There's a blessing in this room. There's a healing in this room, and all those things come together and say it's going to happen suddenly. And then after sitting down with God, and God gave me the verse, I said, "Now God, how is this verse going to tie in with it's going to happen suddenly for the hook?" And He said, "Well, think about the children, the Israelites, and how they marched around the walls of Jericho, and how when they
that's right.
marched around, they were silent. That's another time that they were, Christians were silent, listening to God. So they marched around 6 times silently. On the seventh time, they made a loud shout. Their shout was their praise. That was their weapon. And so when they shouted, the walls came down suddenly. So I don't know what more to say to that than you got to just be in a place where you are prepared to receive and hear from God, and not just hear from God, but be able to take the criticism that He's telling you. Be
Yeah.
prepared to make the corrections that He's telling you that you need to make. Okay, I'm done.
Listen, I was like, we are about to get into. You know, you are so right. You are so right, and that a praise has to be involved. Sitting with him, and
Yes,
they were marching with expectation, right? They were expecting God
yes,
to do
yes,
something, right? And so so many of us, and I know I have definitely fallen into that of, do I really expect God to move in this area? Do I really expect that suddenly blessing? Do I really expect that He is, not only is He powerful enough to do it, but that He is willing to do it for me? Do I expect that He's going to do
yeah,
that? And am I working in preparation for it? So many of us we're struggling because we don't believe. And there's many reasons why that can happen, right? There's many reasons why, our belief,
yeah.
we've been through things that have caused us to, our belief to decrease. And but until we activate the belief and we start moving in it and sitting with God, nothing is going to change. God cannot,
Hmm.
He has to prepare the place for us, right? He's going to birth it on good soil, right? We talked about that in the first half of the show. So if you are listening right now, my encouragement to you is to prepare, to actually prepare and believe God for the thing that He has given you. Believe that whatever He has planted in you, He will birth through you. Whatever He said is yours to have will come. I'm switching gears to talk more about the music specifically. Talk a little bit about, or more so just encouragement for singers and songwriters, because I feel like, so many singers and songwriters, this is a lot of people are birthing things in this season, right? This COVID, this
Hmm.
during this time, we've been able to sit more than what some of us are used to sitting. And I really think God has really been just stirring the spirits of many people. But give some encouragement to the singer and songwriter.
So, what I would say is make sure you're being obedient in your assignment.
Mm,
Don't be distracted by outside noises. Don't be
mm,
distracted during the process. Um, don't be discouraged during the process. You know what God has gifted and anointed you to do. Again, I wrote this song last April. We're coming up on a year and it's just now being released. So I kept setting a date. Okay, the first date was, all right, we're going to do this in August of 2020. Then it didn't happen. Then it was going to be December of 2020. It didn't happen. Then it was going to be, all right, we're going to do it on January 1st, 2021. It didn't happen. And for me in that moment, I had to say, okay,
yeah.
I keep making these dates, but are these the dates that God's given me? Or are
Mm,
these the dates that Octavia wants it to happen?
right.
It's not going to happen suddenly in my time. It's going to happen suddenly in God's time.
That's
So,
what.
you got to seek Him in every decision that you make as a singer, as a songwriter. And I'll even tell you the process that I endured in the studio the first time that we went. Um, Now, I know singers. I know, musicians. And so when we said we were going to go to the studio and record, it was a no-brainer. I was like, okay, I can easily get singers to come and record. And when I tell you it was a disaster, I mean, it was a disaster. And it was really time and money spent with no progress. We went
Mm,
back a second time, different singers, same experience. Again, I know singers. So then at that point, I had to say, okay, all right, guys. So what am I missing? I know you gave me the sound. I know that you gave me this music to release to your people. What am I missing? And so there was another time when I had to just sit and listen. And it was when I sat and I listened that God suddenly opened up a door for me.
mm,
A singer that I did not know was a vocal arranger. He reached out to me. He said, "Hey, I want to help you. I hear the potential in this song. I know what it can do. I want to help you." So I said, "Okay." I gave it to him. I said, "I don't have anything left to give because this process has literally drained me."
yeah,
So I
yeah.
turned it over to him, and about a week or two later, I went to his studio, and it was like, this is it. This is it. So in that, for singers and songwriters, pray about who's supposed to be a part of the process. Because
Amen.
just because somebody is your friend, just because somebody is your family member, it's nothing against any of those people that were in the studio with me because I love them. I talk to those people just about every day. Those are my good friends. But they just weren't supposed to be a part of the process. I
That's
didn't
right.
pray to God and ask God who was supposed to be a part of the process. But when I did that, He brought things together. So pray about who's supposed to be a part of your process. Pray about who's supposed to go out and minister with you. Because even that can be a distraction. If you have somebody just go and sing with you because they're a friend, it doesn't mean that they're going to carry the same anointing that you need in that moment when you go to minister. So be careful in that.
Absolutely. Such great advice. And, one of the things that you said is that was powerful to me is being willing to get help, you know,
Yes.
and humble enough to say, listen, I know that this thing that God gave me is something special, but it needs something that I don't have yet. It
Yeah.
needs some help. And, we're never meant to birth something by ourselves. We're never meant to, birth. God always sends people to help us if we're willing, right? If we're willing to take the
Yes.
help. Even just encouragement for anyone that is in a season of birthing something that, you're willing to be humble and you're willing to take correction. You talked about that as well. Taking correction from God if needed, making those sacrifices if need be. And, also just knowing who your team is, who are the people, I always, use the analogy of giving birth, like who's your birth plan team, that's not for everybody. Right. And
Mm-hmm.
everyone, the roles
Right.
may be different. Right. So I just think that is so important, and just making sure you have the right artist. That is amazing. So, in theme with your song, like I said, I was like texting all my family and friends, like, listen to this song. And it just is so relevant for so many people, just going through so many different things. Maybe there is somebody that is listening tonight and they need us suddenly. They need God to do something suddenly. And, we don't take for granted the different situations that people may be in. We don't take for granted that some
Right.
people are really going through, there could be a financial need, a health need,
Yeah.
there could be a physical need, a spiritual need, an emotional. It could be whatever, depression, anxiety, all kinds of things that are plaguing us, and we need a move from God. I just want you to share a word of encouragement to someone that needs that suddenly. They need that. They need God to move right now.
Yeah. So, I would say get in position. Don't be surprised about the amount of people that are left around you. And you said it tonight, you could ruin the process. So get yourself in position. Don't get discouraged during the process, especially when God has gifted you in a particular area. Um, this producer said to me and a group of other worship leaders and artists, he said, whenever you go out somewhere and God has told you to do it, and then you hear a voice saying, no, you shouldn't do it like that. Why did you do that? That's the enemy.
That's right.
That's not the voice of God. God's not going to discourage you from doing something that He's gifted you to do.
That's
But
right.
then also don't be discouraged about who's left standing around you, because some people are not going to be in a part of every season of your life. Some
That's right.
people, you don't need all these people to go to war. You know, I think about Gideon, how he had these thousands of people to go and fight the Midianites, right? And God was like, you got too many people. Um, so send back the ones that are scared and timid. Then he told him to take him down to the water. And then, you know, the scenario that God gave him was those that pour the water up to their hands and drink it. Those are the ones that you take. And there was only 300 left. So if you got a big circle and it comes down to one or two people, it's okay.
It's
That's what's
okay.
supposed to be a part of the process right now with you. And then also be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. Know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. So whatever you put your hand to, know that God is there with you. Keep praying, activate your faith. The Bible says that whatever you ask for in prayer, believe it, and it is yours. All
That's
you have
right.
to do is believe. I mean, God is doing the big work for you. You don't
Yeah.
have to be crying and and I always say this, and I've said this in our conversation too. I always feel like God is like, "Ugh, these are like the modern day Israelites. I do something for them, and then they're like, oh God, like, I need you to do this. And then God did something else. And they're like, oh God. It was like
Right.
one thing after the next. They ain't having any water. So God provided water from the rock. They wanted food. God provided man. They didn't like the man. So it was just like one thing after the next. And it's like, at what point do you just say, okay, I'm going through this. This is another challenge in my life. It's okay.
It's
Like
okay.
God has taken care of me before, He's going to do it again. His track record proves it.
He's
The Bible says,
undefeated.
I've never seen the righteous forsaken or the seed begging for bread. Anything I've ever needed, He's provided.
Amen.
And He's done it suddenly and in enough time. And then lastly, I would say, the Bible says that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So where's your faith at?
Mm.
You don't necessarily need to see into the future to know that God is going to do what you've already prayed for, what God has already confirmed that He's going to do for you. Faith just means that I have confidence and I have trust. So do you have confidence and you have trust in the God that He's going to do what you've been praying and asking for again? He's already done it before. So why
That's right.
can't He do it again suddenly? Don't put limits on God. I
That's
think
right.
that's the problem sometimes. We pray, we ask God for things, and then because He's not doing it in our timing, again,
Mhm.
our timing is not the suddenly that we need to be looking for, it's God's timing of suddenly. So because He's not moving at the pace that we want Him to move at, we feel like, oh, let me help God. He don't need your help. And I'm speaking, for me and you, because we were like, okay, let me go on and fix this for
We
you real
stay
quick,
in
Lord, because I
business.
know you ain't doing it right. Let me help you.
We
He's
stay
like, I
trying
don't
to
need your help. Yes.
oh,
Relax. Lay back.
that's right.
Pray without ceasing.
That's
So
right.
somebody said to me years ago, I don't need to keep praying if God has already told me that He's gonna do it. Okay, well that's gonna work for you. But I'm going to keep praying because my Bible tells me to pray without ceasing. So I don't care how many times I pray about the same thing. I'm gonna keep praying. I'm gonna keep making my petition and my request to God.
To him. Yes, that's right. That's it. That's it. And keep believing and keep working it like he's already done it.
Yes.
We have to
Yeah,
move.
I said to you the other day, what is the point of praying if you're not going to believe?
Yes,
It's no point.
that's right. That's right. We got to move.
Why are you doing that?
Yeah, yeah. So, let that be. Listen, that's a word for me. That's a word for many that, when you are praying and you're believing God for things, you have to truly activate your faith. You really got to start moving like it's already done. You got
Yes.
to start seeing it before you see it. You got to see yourself as an author before you start writing a book. You got to see yourself as a
Yes.
singer before you start singing the song. You got to see yourself as an actor before you start, running your lines. And I think so
Mm-hmm.
many I know for me, I want to see certain things before I start moving. And God is like, that's not how this works, but it's like, okay, God, I need you to show me I
Right.
want to see a preview before I start moving. And I'm realizing now that we are in a time sensitive season.
Yes.
We do not have time to play with God. We don't have time to be sitting on our gifts and talents. There are people that need the very thing that God has placed in us, whatever it is. And the longer we take to birth it, the longer they are not getting what they need. And it can be too late. Some of us are playing with God like he won't take something from us. He will work with the willing.
Yeah.
So we can play all we want and say, oh, I got this gift, but I'll get to it when I get to it. Okay. But don't be mad when that gift is manifested elsewhere because you mishandled it. So it is super important that you believe God and you get to work. I'm telling you, you can do it. I can do it. We can do it. Whatever he's planted in, he is faithful to birth through us. So as we are getting ready to close out the show, we need to talk about you, girlfriend. Tell us where we could get the single. Tell us how we can book you. Listen, she is an incredible anointed singer. You need to have her at your church or at your event or wherever. So give us some information. I will drop the links and everything in the comment section so that people can connect with you.
So you can follow me on Instagram at I am Octavia, spelled uniquely with that A. Praise Jesus.
Yeah.
But it's IAMAOCTAVIA. So I am Octavia. You can find me on Instagram. My ministry page that I share with my husband is Johnny and Tay Miller. And Johnny spelled JohnNNIEANDTAY. So that's our ministry page. And then I'm on Facebook, Octavia Stewart Miller. And then you can visit my website for booking details. My website is octaviastewartmiller.com without the hyphen. So octaviastewartmiller.com.
Amen. 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 So again, the single Suddenly, download it on all music platforms. Whatever you listening to, you streaming your music,
Yes.
get it today. Share it with somebody. Tell them to get it. But reach out to Octavia. I have dropped the links in the comments. Don't worry, I'm going to be dropping more. Her Instagram, follow her on Instagram. Follow her and her husband's ministry page. Again, tap in on the website. Get in connecting with her. Book her for your next event. I'm telling you, this is an amazing woman of God. And I'm telling you, you're going to want to book her now because I'm telling you, God is doing some amazing things in this season. And I just want to say to you, Octavia, thank you so much for not just being on the show, but just thank you for being that friend that truly prays. Many people say, well, I'm gonna pray for you, but Tay she has proven she has never switched up a day that I've known her. She has prayed with me through some of the best and worst things I have been through. She corrects me when I'm wrong. She, encourages me. I just thank you for your friendship and for your light. And my prayer is suddenly for you. I just believe that all the things that you have done, God is going to move swiftly on your behalf. And I am just so excited for what he is going to do for you when it starts dropping, because it's going to drop. I just want you to embrace it because you deserve it. I love you with my whole heart.
I love you more. I love you more.
So listen, we are wrapping up the show. I just want to say this. We talk about this every week. We never know who is listening. If you are here and you're struggling, listen, no judgment, no judgment. We have experienced depression and anxiety and all kinds of things. But if you are in need of some help, you can always reach out to ask for prayer. Whitney J at awesomegod.radio.com. You can always DM me on, any of our platforms for prayer requests. But also if you are really feeling low, and I'm talking about that unsafe low, that you are really feeling like your life, is over. First of all, your life has value. God loves you and he is with you. We will drop the link to the suicide prevention hotline just in case you need to speak to someone immediately. Listen, there is no judgment. We just want everybody to be well because God is here. He is here. He wants you. He is waiting for you. He loves you. I don't care what you have done or not done. It has not separated you from his love. So embrace that today and be well because that is God's plan for you. We want to thank again Octavia Stewart Miller for being a guest on the She Heals Radio Show. Shout out to our super producer Quincy for always taking care of us. Much love to my Awesome God Radio family. I know we love our Q. Right? Much love to our Awesome God Radio family. Again, grab that single Suddenly on all streaming platforms. In closing, she thinks, she feels, she prays, she cries. She trusts. She believes. She fasts. she gets stronger, and ultimately she heals. This is the She Heals Radio Show with your host, Whitney J. Have a blessed Friday and weekend. Take care. We will see you back here next Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care and God bless.